Madzima is the senior partner at Madzima Chijigauseko Legal Practitioners. We are legal practitioners practicing general law. Our firm is divided into departments, and I head the mining, property and estates department. Conveyancing emanates from the word convey, which ultimately means to transfer land and title. So conveyancing involves the processes where registered land is transferred from a seller to a buyer. So conveyancing is the process that we do when we are transferring lands at the deeds registry. First part is to do the due diligence process to ensure that the title in the land is owned by the person who proposed to own the piece of land. From then on, after the due diligence process is complete, we do the capital gains clearance. If there is VAT, you pay off the VAT. We do the rates clearance process, that's with the council, the local councils. It could be Harare City Council, Bulawayo City Council. And then from then on, we do the processes that are required in terms of the Act by the Registry of Deeds to ensure that title is then transferred. We check whether there are encumbrances on the piece of land. We're talking about mortgages or any other encumbrance. It could be a caveat. If there are servitudes on the piece of land, we notify the buyer or the seller that there are these servitudes or encumbrances on the piece of land. And then we ultimately transfer the piece of property. Well, it is very important because we believe that in most instances, investment in property is the ultimate investment for most of our buyers. And it's critical that the service providers that you then enlist, it's not only on legal practitioners, but your estate agents. They are reputable because you do not want a situation where money or value is lost. And when it just comes to conveyancers, you want a conveyancer that is knowledgeable about various acts that relate to the transfer process. It could be your VAT Act, your Capital Gains Tax Act, including the Deeds Registry Act to ensure a seamless process and that you get your title in the best possible time. For a first-time buyer, it is important that you go to a reputable firm to ensure that the process, because you haven't gone through the process, to ensure that the process is done seamlessly, and also that you are not taken advantage of. Not purporting that conveyancers would, because conveyancers initially are legal practitioners who then go on to do a conveyancing course, and the standards of ethics are very high. So, but in any event, it's important that you engage a reputable firm to ensure that your process is seamless and you get your title deed in the best possible time. In normal circumstances, the conveyancer is appointed by the seller, but the conveyancer is then guided by ethics. When it comes to representing the parties, the conveyancer represents both parties, although appointed by the seller. Traditionally, the appointment by the seller is to ensure, because the deeds in the first instance remain the seller's, and the seller runs a greater risk of loss because money is normally paid at the end of that conveyancing transaction. But in certain circumstances, the seller and the buyer can agree to have the conveyancer nominated by the buyer. It becomes circumstantial. If you're looking at estate agents, and I've mentioned issues to do with reputation, Seeff Zimbabwe has been there for a very long time. I've dealt with it personally. I think I started dealing with Seeff from 2006, and the service that I've got from Seeff, even as a legal practitioner, the paperwork that we receive, the due diligence processes that are done even before the conveyancing transaction comes to our firm, ensures and gives us a guarantee that the property is legitimate, the paperwork has been done, the agreements are drafted in a manner that is consistent with how we would have drafted it as conveyancers, and that makes it easy for the conveyancing transaction to proceed.
Seeff, with expertise built through generations of trust. Home is our story.